Hey guys, so today's video, we're going to talk about best and worst breakfasts. And when I say breakfast, I'm using that term liberally. So whether you're intermittent fasting or not, although most people are fasting while they're sleeping. So we won't talk too much about that on this video. But if you think you're not participating in intermittent fasting, you kind of are if you're not eating while you're sleeping. So anyway, that's a side note. Back to best and worst breakfasts to break your fast with. So the first thing you want to consider when you're thinking about what to eat in the morning or what to break your fast with if it's in the afternoon is what your health goals are. I always say that no matter what you're doing, no matter what you're trying to change, especially if you're trying to make a change, you want to think about what your goals are and what you're personally dealing with. Is it weight loss? Is it reducing your inflammation? Is it balancing out your blood sugar? You may have gone to the doctor and been told that you're pre-diabetic and they're like, oh, we're going to watch this. Well, I don't know what that means, but you want an action plan. So if you have a health goal in mind, this applies to any health goal, but I am going to kind of bob and weave and talk about the different nuances of how to break your fast based on your health goals. And there's some general sort of rules of thumb on that. So first of all, let's start with the bad news, because I think that this is going to be bad news for a lot of people. It certainly was for me as a cereal addict. Gen Xer. I loved my cereal. Never met a bowl of cereal I didn't love. Can we talk about Lucky Charms, Fruit Loops, Cocoa Puffs, even Grape Nuts? So I thought I was going healthier and I went to Frosted Mini Wheats and I also had Grape Nuts and I found out those weren't as healthy as the marketing tells us that they are. So I never met a bowl of cereal I didn't like, but we need to move on from that. As we grow, we find out more information and then we learn. So we move on. Okay. So best and worst breakfast. So let's start with the worst. The worst is what I just mentioned, which is that cereal. Yes, oatmeal. I'm sorry, oatmeal fans. I know as Gen Xers, we were also told by our doctors that oatmeal was going to be good for you. No, it's a big sugar bomb. And I'm going to talk about oatmeal as well. But the oatmeal is a no-no. Any kind of cereal or sugar bomb, obviously the waffles, pancakes. I mean, do I even need to say this? But maybe I do. So we're going to stay away from muffins, cakes, cookies, waffles. Those are not delicious, but those are desserts. So I'm not saying you can ever have a waffle again. I know how fun waffles are, not trying to be a fun sucker, but there's a time and a place for that. And oatmeal is in the same category as waffles because it's going to do the same to your inner workings of your body that waffles do. So with syrup. So those are kind of the things that we want to stay away from. Why? So if you're working on any kind of weight loss, anti-inflammatory condition, like an autoimmune condition or blood sugar, pre-diabetic, that's the first place you want to start, which is why I talk incessantly about breakfast, is because it sets your day up for success. Yes, it is actually the most important meal of the day, no matter when you're having it, either you're having it at 8 in the morning or you're having it at noon. You want to set the rest of your day up for success. And a carb sugar bomb is not going to do that because it's going to leave you with a sugar crash and it's going to leave you hungry 2 hours later because those foods actually don't have a lot of nutritional value in them. They fill your belly and then you empty it out super quick because as you know, glucose is the first thing that gets burned. But if you're sitting around, especially if you're in an office job or on Zooms all day and you're not moving, especially if you're not moving, you're not using that and all of that is going to get stored as fat. So, I'm not talking to people that are training for a marathon in terms of carby breakfast. You're on your own for that. That's not my area of expertise. I'm talking about women over 45 who are struggling with one or more health conditions, metabolically speaking, cholesterol, same thing. Any non-communicable disease or condition or syndrome, if you will, and that includes diabetes, pre-diabetes, blood sugar dysregulation, any kind of GI, IBS, a heart thing like a high cholesterol or a high blood pressure. Those are all those non-communicable diseases or conditions, I should call them. Those are best, the first place to start, like kind of like Dorothy on that little yellow brick road corner, the best place to start to fix a lot of those things is what are you breaking your fast with? The worst things that you can break your fast with are those carb sugar bombs that I mentioned. So we want to get rid of those. What do we want to replace it with? What's better? And let's put fruit to the side for a second, because fruit is its sort of its own category. And I'm going to talk about fruit separately because there's kind of a good news, bad news about the fruit. And depending on your goal and depending on your health journey, fruit can be a really good thing to start your day with, or it can be not so good. So I'll talk about that separately. So what is the best way to start your day with, your breakfast, break your fast with? Protein, healthy fat, and fiber. That's the magical trifecta that is going to set your day up for success. Protein. So how much protein? 20 grams or more is ideal. 30 grams, actually 20 is minimum. 30 is ideal. And if you can get a little bit more in, especially if you're intermittent fasting or you're a guy trying to build muscle, you're going to want to go 30 plus for sure. Okay. So what does that look like? It's going to be, remember, the steak, the eggs. My favorite, absolute favorite, is dinner for breakfast. So you cooked salmon the night before. That's sort of the easiest gateway food to getting into dinner for breakfast, is because salmon, roasted salmon is kind of like lox. So people can kind of wrap their head around that. And there are several cultures, Japanese cultures, that have fish for breakfast. So yeah. So that's where I would say, like, anything that you had the dinner the night before, heat that up for breakfast. So when I'm talking to people about food prepping, you always want to make a lot more food for dinner than you're actually going to consume, because you can upcycle that the next day, especially for breakfast. So remember, back in the day, that steak, that eggs, the bacon, that was what they ate back in the day, because the farmers and the people that were hunting and gathering knew that a protein, healthy fat, fiber-rich breakfast was going to set them up for success, so they could work in the fields or go do whatever they had to do, basket weaving, hunting and gathering. That would set them up for success in order to have the energy, the sustainable energy to do that. So that's where I want your head at. We were not designed to have this carb sugar breakfast. That was an invention of the food industry, the snack industry. I don't know. There's a time and a place for all of that stuff. But if you're having a health challenge, which people that come to me usually are having some kind of health challenge, and they've got a goal, a destination they want to make it to, this is where you start with breakfast. So your best breakfast looks like that. It's got minimum of 20 grams of protein. It's got some healthy fat. So if a steak, speaking of healthy fat, if a steak is part of that healthy breakfast, you don't need a lot of extra avocado or oils in there, because it's got plenty of healthy fat in there, especially salmon too. It's got the healthy fat in it. So I know there's the whole keto thing we're not going to talk about on this video, but you want to burn your own, there's a balance, because you want to burn your own fat as fuel. If you don't know what I'm talking about, watch my other videos on keto. Okay, so that's where you want to be. So let's talk about fruit. So fruit is just, if we take a 30,000 foot view of fruit is perfectly healthy, has a lot of great vitamins and minerals in it, and fiber and all that good stuff but there's a time and a place. So when I say time and place, I really do mean literally time and place. I recommend fruit seasonally, eating seasonally. And if you're trying to lose weight, it's a low glycemic balance and not too much fruit. Because think about it, back in the day, our DNA is not designed to be having this fruit 365 days a year, any fruit we want, summer fruit from Chile up in the northern hemisphere. We were not meant to be having that. So our bodies don't do really well with a lot of sugar, because fruit is still sugar. I know it's natural sugar, so I know you're going to tell me that, but it comes with fiber and minerals and vitamins and all kinds of other polyphenols, other benefits. I'm talking about the whole fruit now, you guys, not dried fruit. Let's put that to bed. Not dried fruit, not candy fruit, strawberry candy or anything like that. I think that's obvious, but like whole fruit. So we want to eat fruit, first of all, seasonally. Now, there are many health professionals and health world people in the health and wellness space that advocate for starting your meal with a little bit of fruit. And there is a reason for that. So what you're doing, fruit comes with a lot of really great digestive enzymes. So if you're having trouble with digestion, sometimes a little bit of fruit in the beginning of your meal can kind of set the table for digestion and help you digest your food better and help it kind of move through your body, so you can really absorb all of the nutrients that are contained in that, protein, healthy fat meal that you're about to eat. So there is a place for that. Now, if you are struggling with blood sugar dysregulation and you're trying to lose weight, you want to have a CGM on, and I've got other videos on CGM. I'm not going to talk about that. It's that continuous glucose monitor that will tell you if your blood sugar is spiking. So that's why you want to start really small if you're going to start your meal with fruit in the beginning of your meal. The problem with putting fruit at the end of your meal as a dessert, sometimes for some people, that fruit can start to ferment in there and cause a lot of gas and indigestion. So whenever you're on any kind of health journey, you do want to sort of track what's happening and track your measurements and track your weight, track your macros, whatever you're going to do. You don't have to track it, but if you aren't a tracker, you could do one thing at a time. And so if fruit is an issue for you and you really want to figure out where fruit fits into your diet, then that's something that you want to track, is how you feel after you start your meal with fruit and then after you end your meal with fruit. Because when I have people trying to lose weight or work on blood sugar dysregulation, I have them putting fruit at the end of the meal. And there is a very legitimate reason to start your meal with fruit, but you want to be aware of the consequences of both. It's like informed consent, right? So if you're struggling with where to put fruit in your diet, because you could be struggling with a multiple, you could be having GI and weight loss, right? And so those are two competing issues, not necessarily competing, but you want to be, fruit gets, complicated when we talk about weight loss. And I know there's plenty of people that say, don't eat any fruit, carbohydrate and all that. And I am not one of those people, but I do say we need to be sort of careful about where we're putting fruit in. And I definitely don't want you starting your meals with a big old fruit platter. I know we go to restaurants and stuff and we're on vacation. They've got these gorgeous, fruits from all over the world. Starting your day with that could spike the blood sugar. And you don't have to have a continuous glucose monitor on, just to be, aware that fruit in moderation is a good idea, only because, for nothing else besides the fact that we as humans, we're not designed to have all of that fruit 365 days a year, like is available to us, So that's where I stand on fruit. So just to recap, you want to dump the sugar and the carby breakfast, replace it with, I promise you guys, you will be so happy if you do nothing else with your health journey, then change the way you're starting your meals, no matter what time that is. Start with protein, healthy fat, and some fiber. So have some of that roasted asparagus from the night before, broccoli, salad. I mean, there's nothing better than having some romaine lettuce to get those enzymes going, and just you'll feel so much better, and your bowels will move through your system so much better if you start your day this way. Okay, thanks guys, and I hope that was helpful.